Hi guys, oh my god, here we go again. So back in 2016, a significant portion of the voting public backed leaving the European Union because they believed the lies that were being pushed by the likes of Nigel Farage, Boris Johnson, Jacob Rees-Mogg and others when it came to how poor public services were and that an exit from the EU would improve things. These people were charlatans preying on the anger the general public had towards policies like austerity. Fast forward to this week in Question Time, where you have this lady in the audience who is repeating pretty much the same promises again, but from the child of the Brexit party, Reform UK. Have a listen.
At the moment, the Conservative Party have lost a lot of trust from the people in the UK. You've destroyed people's chances to get on the property market. You've ruined the pockets of people who have scrimped and saved everything they can, because that money now has to go on inflated mortgages. I'm not surprised about the influx of votes of reform. I currently live in Bristol. I was voting in the election where Damien Egan for Labour won. But I actually went and heard the reform candidate. And he was hitting on every point that everybody wanted to hear. And Richard Tice was making it incredibly clear. You have damaged the UK. And I don't think you can fix the damage you've done.
And
I think it's time for you to get out.
What was he offering you that made you, that appealed to you?
So there was a lot about education and reducing a lot of the trans debate that's going on at the moment. He was also talking about legal migration, how there should be a one in, one out policy. There's over 450,000 legal immigrants coming in and out of the country. He said that we should be replacing those that leave with things that we need: nurses, doctors, dentists, hygienists.
But did he say where they were going to come from?
He didn't say where they were going to come from, no. But he did hit on every point, and he resonated with a lot of voters that were undecided.
And there we have it. You have simple policies, simple solutions to complex problems. And she pointed out this is what the public want to hear. And of course, Reform UK are happy to sit on the sidelines and say, we will fix these problems, but they won't explain how they will fix those problems. Now, when it comes to his policy of one in, one out, what Richard Tice is trying to do is trying to suggest that what we'll do is we'll replace, there are too many immigrants coming. This is the rhetoric. And what we're going to do is we're going to reduce it. But what we're going to do is reduce it in a clever way. For every one that comes in, another one will leave. So we'll always have a net zero of immigration. And we're only going to bring in people that we need, like nurses, doctors, whatever. It doesn't explain, obviously, as was pointed out here, where they'll come from. And of course, Reform UK would have a much more draconian approach to immigration than the Tories have. See, the problem here is that you have politicians sitting on the sidelines saying, we will fix these problems, vote for us, knowing that they'll never get into power. Nigel Farage perfected that. He was telling the public, look, if we vote to leave the European Union, we'll have these wonderful trade deals. We'll be like Switzerland. We'll be like Norway. Switzerland in particular. Switzerland, a very rich country. We can be like that. And then as soon as people started to ask questions, he'd shut down the debate. And he always knew that he would never be in a position where he would actually have to implement Brexit. So when the Tories took over from the Brexiteers took over, Boris Johnson and Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak from Theresa May, it was very easy for Nigel Farage then to say, well, these people aren't implementing Brexit correctly. So his Brexit, the one that goes to a different school, would have solved all problems. But the problem now at the moment is that Brexit isn't being implemented correctly, or the opportunities are not being taken advantage of. So it's very easy, of course, once again, for him to sit on the sidelines and say that. And Richard Tice is doing exactly the same thing with Reform UK. I will eliminate immigration. I'll bring it down to zero. I will get rid of waiting lists. If you actually look at the manifesto, the costings, it's stuff about some sort of dodgy stuff about the Bank of England in order to reduce the costs, for example, when it comes to the NHS. when it comes to immigration, how are you going to fill those backlogs? How are you going to bring down the backlog? You need staff, you need resources. And of course, they're a joke party. They're not actually serious about doing these things because they don't have to be serious. Their goal, and I keep saying, is to shift the Conservatives further to the right. And I think when Labour get into power, they will be continuing this and trying to snipe from the sidelines and say that Labour isn't dealing with immigration, Labour isn't dealing with the backlog, Labour isn't doing this, that and the other, and you need to vote for us. So while the focus, of course, with Reform UK is on the Conservatives at the moment, I think they're going to shift to attacking Labour when they're in power and saying they're not right-wing enough, or they're not doing it, enough to bring down the waiting list or reduce immigration or whatever. So once again, it's easy for them to sit on the sidelines and dictate how things should be done. I compare them to the heckler at a comedy club. The comedian isn't doing a good job, but they'll never get up on stage and and allow themselves to be ridiculed. So it's easy just to sit in the audience and say you're doing it wrong. Are the Conservatives doing it wrong? Of course they are. And the public are upset over that. But replacing the Conservatives with Reform UK would be worse, I think. But once again, that's not going to happen because Reform UK don't have the numbers. And it's not their goal to replace the Conservatives. It's about pushing the Conservatives in a particular direction. It's quite sad that after all these years where people like Nigel Farage, Boris Johnson, Richard Tice and others have lied to the public are now listening to Richard Tice and Nigel Farage once again. At what stage will people wake up and smell the coffee? These people are liars and charlatans. They'll tell you what you think, they'll tell you what they think you need to hear, you want to hear, in order to win your vote. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.